border between Cross River State and Ebonyi State is populated on either side by people with a long history of socio-cultural, economic, and political affinities. However, over time, the growing scarcity of land and the changing dynamics of politics, as well as the increasing challenges of economic survival, have conspired to alter the peace and good neighborliness that hitherto characterized life in these border areas. Further notes that border skirmishes and full-blown clashes and wars have now become a common occurrence along this border stretch. Beginning from the south, where the Biase of Cross River are in constant war with the Edda of Ebonyi, to the central, where the Adadama group of villages are embroiled in clashes with the Ndiamagu of Ebonyi State, and the Ezi of Ebonyi are in permanent altercation with the Eja, Apiapumted, and Ijibolo of Osopong, Obubra local government area, also in central Cross River State. These interminable wars leave in their wake tales of blood, tears, and destruction. Northern Cross River is not isolated from these ugly occurrences, as the Ezi of Ebonyi and the Aukele neighbors have been enmeshed in long periods of bitter cross-boundary community wars. Aware that the war is currently raging is between the Ezi of Ebonyi and the Osopong peoples of Obubra Central Cross River. Further aware that the Osopong people are currently groaning under the weight of two fatalities, namely a devastating flood that has ravaged their rich farmlands and habitations, and this unending war with their Ezi neighbors. Worried that the peace and harmony, as well as the agricultural potency of the Osopong group of villages, being landlords to a rich and vast swath of land, suitable especially for rice cultivation, fishing, and other economic activities, is threatened by the furious flood and the disturbing activities of these unending wars. Also worried that unless a functional solution is sought and mutual agreement reached between aggrieved parties across the boundaries, the area may remain engulfed in attacks and retaliatory attacks with attendant brutal and unwholesome consequences for all and sundry. Accordingly, resolves to: 1. Condemn in totality the killings, kidnappings, and destruction of properties in the areas covering the entire stretch of boundary between peoples of Ebonyi and Cross River State, and in particular the current mayhem being perpetrated in the area inhabited by the Ezi people and the Osopong communities in Ebonyi and Cross River State respectively. 2. Appeal to the Cross River and Ebonyi State governments to initiate and heighten the peace processes in the aforementioned areas. 3. Direct the National Boundary Commission to accelerate, as a matter of national emergency, the formal delineation of the entire stretch of boundary between Cross River State and Ebonyi State. 4. Direct NEMA to, as a matter of urgency, avail the people in Osopong and Ezi communities the necessary support, materials, and aid required to make their lives meaningful again. 5. Urge the Nigeria police to deploy more men to these troubled spots along the entire stretch of the Ebonyi Cross River boundary area. And 6. Observe a minute silence in honor of those who have lost their lives to these wars and a devastating flood. Mr. President, I so move.
Distinguished Senator Geshambas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Geshambasi, Cross River South. Mr. President, in seconding this motion, I wish to bring to the attention of this Senate that these problems have been long-standing problems in our state. The problems between Ebonyi State, in the Southern Senatorial District, between Abi local government, in Biase local government, in the Central Senatorial District, in Abi local government, and in Obubra local government, and of course in the Northern Senatorial District, in Yala local government. These problems have gone on for some time now, and I think that the lasting solution must come from the Boundary Commission. And therefore, I want to urge the Boundary Commission in particular to be proactive in demarcating these boundaries to finally put a stop to some of these problems. We have said it on the floor of this Senate several times, and I will continue to emphasize it, that it is important that the Boundary Commission is up and doing, so that the loss of lives and property, and in the words of the mover of the motion, the sorrow, tears, and blood that is meted out in these communities should be brought to an end. Mr. President, I so second.
Point of order.
Point of order, leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. My highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion for this Senate to suspend its order.